Well, coming off a successful Ernie Mincy Memorial Early Thaw Series at Central Arizona Raceway in Casa, Grande, actually a busy month of racing in the American Southwest, Kollin Hibdon of Pahrump, Nevada, joins us on the Beyond the Flags podcast, talks about all the success and breaking that Casa Grande curse that he used to say, as he had a good November and a decent January as well to start the year off in 2025. Also talks about the significance of the 48K, why he throws the number 2 up when he crosses the finish line in first and in victory lane. That's coming up. But before we get to the interview, make sure wherever you're listening or watching from, you hit the like button and subscribe so that you don't miss out on future episodes. Well, it's been a while since we've had a guest on the Beyond the Flags podcast because there's been some busy action in the desert, and one of the cats to come out on top, at least during the Ernie Mincy Memorial Early Thaw at Central Arizona Raceway in Casa Grande, Arizona, Kollin Hibdon, originally from Pahrump, Nevada. The shop currently in Fargo, North Dakota, but soon to be relocated in the Cedar Falls, Waterloo, Iowa area, if I got that correct.
Yes, sir, that is correct.
Well, busy stint. Obviously, hard to believe, pretty much the entire month of January, we were racing in the desert with Speedway Motors IMCA weekly action. You made 13 features, 7 top 5s, 9 top 10s, and a big win to close things out on the final night of the Ernie Mincy Memorial Early Thaw after just a very consistent and very fast race car for many of those nights.
Yeah, absolutely. We love our winter racing when it comes around every year. It's one of the few times I get a race near what I would call home, and my dad gets to be a little more involved in my program and family and things of that sort. So, if we can go out and race for a month, we're going to go race for a month.
Yeah, and a really good way to dial your program in. I feel like I was beating a dead horse, but talking to so many teams and drivers of, normally you race maybe 1 or 2 times a week, sometimes more depending where you're at. And then you have to wait several days to try things, but just completely repeat action, almost like Groundhog's Day there for a while of race after race after race, a good opportunity to get comfortable and also maybe even try some stuff that maybe you hadn't before.
Oh, absolutely. And it works out perfect for us because we kind of just got hooked up with the guys over at Longhorn, and we took this R&D car of ours here from Longhorn and, got to do exactly that. We researched and learned as much as we could, and by the end of the month, we were pretty dang consistent. I think we did 3 or 4 seconds in a row, and then finally was able to get a win, and, racing for that many times back-to-back really lets you figure out and learn what's wrong with the car and what do you got to do to make it a little better. And we were able to do exactly that. So it worked out great for us timing wise.
And for you, did the track seem just about the same as far as when you were there for the showdown back in November and you won 2 out of 3 nights there and was very fast?
I'd say actually it was quite a bit different. I think they used November a lot like kind of like a hot lap session and asked a lot of us what we thought the track needed and what it needed to be a little better. And they built on that in the off season, or I guess short off season, couple of weeks. And it really was like relearning again. We kind of were excited because we ended November so well and went back, and not that none of it wasn't working, but we just weren't quite where we needed to be. So, I think, they reworked the track a little bit, and it ended up being a little faster and racing a little more towards the wall. And we just had to dial in our setup for that instead. And, kind of was like, a whole new ball game, but, they're trying to make improvements to make that track as good as they can.
What I was going to say, you hit it on the head as far as speed. It's a 3/8 mile, or it's advertised as a 3/8 mile, but really for me, it races like a small third or even a quarter mile, like even juiced up, like when it's dry slick. It's just, you carry so much speed and momentum that obviously you saw it a ton. If anybody made even the slightest error, it was good night Vienna.
Yes, for sure. And that place is just so quick, it kind of allows you to make a lot of small mistakes and them not show too bad. But like you said, when you make a big mistake there, it's a big mistake. You're going around there, even, like you said, when it's juiced up and when it's slick, you're going around there as hard as you can, so it's, just makes the racing a little tough, especially if you start in a deeper spot or and whatnot, it's a little harder because everybody's going as fast as they can. So to make those gains you need to make is just a little tougher.
Well, going back to you and I first meeting each other, we've known each other for a bit now. I want to think it was maybe 2021 IMCA TV Winter Nationals, and for sure got to know you a little bit more in 2023 or 2023 version. But I think that 21 time you'd hooked up with the Arnesons and you were making strides to relocating to Fargo. And by all means, let me know if I'm wrong on my timeline there.
No, that would be right. I believe, 2021, maybe end of 2020, we kind of all got hooked up there, and that's kind of when our program really turned around,
Well, and normally, folks, Iowa is kind of the central destination, but for you, North Dakota, what drew you there? What was the attraction?
Really, the biggest thing that drew us there and ended up, working out and getting us out there was just the help we could get. We at the time, we went and lived with Jeff Ike and Scott Fitzpatrick and the S&J guys and raced with them for 2 years. When I turned 14, my dad, he runs a very successful couple businesses out here, so it's hard for him to have time to take me racing, and I obviously wasn't old enough to go drive myself to the races and race. And those guys took me under their wing and let me experience the racing world, go out there and run 4 nights a week and with the best guys you could. And we did that for 2 years with them. And those guys are like family to me still. And then, we kind of felt like we were maxed out where our program was, and we could have used a little more hands-on help, more of a home kind of feeling. And Riley Hatfield and Dell Arneson and Casey and Austin all approached us, and Riley being a really good family friend to my dad from racing throughout the years. And at the time, the Eldorado deal was a small program. They only built 2 of the cars at the moment, but those 2 cars were really fast, and Riley's about one of the smartest guys that I know in the modified racing world. And we got offered to get in one of those cars at an early stage and go racing with those guys and work for them and learn all we could. So it was kind of a no-brainer. Riley's worked on winning modifies from USMTS to IMCA to, late model World of Outlaw teams. And he's the guy, any knowledge or learning you could do with him is all good stuff, and racing with Casey and Austin Arneson really excelled my program a lot, with 2 guys who have won almost anything you could win and could hop in a race car at almost any track in the country and compete. It was a no-brainer for us.
What was that culture shock like that first time you were racing in the Midwest, where, you and I are both West Coast guys and predominantly Saturday tracks? Every now and then, there's some places that would, especially during a holiday weekend, you race more than once, but it's normally Saturdays. And you go to somewhere where, like you said, 4 nights, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday on the regular. I mean, sometimes even 6, even 7 if it's strung together correctly.
Oh, no doubt. And it's a whole new ball game for sure. And the people and the racetracks, and like you said, the culture is just a whole different thing. You can walk into a gas station with a racing shirt on in Iowa and everybody knows what you're doing and ask you questions about races, or if you're going to the races, or, it's common, it's popular there. Your average guy walking around your Walmart knows about dirt track racing up there. And, kind of on the West Coast, it's not really quite that. Nobody really knows what it is. It's a hobby for very little people, and it's more hidden, I guess I would say. Everybody almost knows who it is, and stands are packed there, and not that that doesn't happen on the West Coast, but definitely not to the extremes it does out there. I mean, you can go to a weekly show and there's not even a seat in the stands. It's just, it's more embraced by the communities and more advertised, I feel like. And, like you said, there's just so much more of it, and the people down there, they just love it. So it makes it even better.
Well, obviously the move to the Midwest paid dividends. I mean, you managed to win some pretty big events, the Ironman 100 at Dakota Speedway a couple of times, and been really good at Jamestown, winning the modified portion of the Stock Car Stampede last year, and two-time defending champion of the Don Gumke Memorial there. But also at Hancock County Speedway in Britt, Iowa, you won the night of 10,000 stars in 2022 or 2021. The next year won the night of 1,000 stars. I look at you as kind of, and correct me if I'm wrong on this label, but more of a pick and choose kind of guy versus running like a particular, I mean, I guess with the exception of Dakota Mod Tour, but you guys go run wherever you can and just try some different places. And obviously you guys have done very well.
Yeah, absolutely. We've never really been the kind of guys, me and my dad, to chase a points championship or chase, track points or series points or anything along those lines. If we can race for $600 at Jamestown and it's an hour away, or we can go to Iowa for $5,000, we're going to go to Iowa that same weekend. We just want to race where the competition's at. So wherever we can race for some money and race against the best guys you can, we believe, iron sharpens iron, and any laps you can get for more or against better guys is always better. And it seemed to work out pretty good for us so far.
Well, and, the Dakota 100, it's as advertised. It's a 100-lap race. It's a big 3/8 mile. I kind of consider it sort of like a half mile, and it's a deal where you got to get up on the bars, and no doubt it can be taxing physically, mentally. And then you throw in the mix that the North Dakota drivers, they're definitely like spoilers. If they go Travis Hagen last year on the first night of the night of 1,000 stars, and with what they've been able to do at, Super Nationals and even on the Dakota Mod Tour, there's a crop of tough cats that race in that state on every week.
Oh, no doubt. And, I feel like in a lot of, every track kind of has their local guys, and every state has their guys who can go compete everywhere. And in my opinion, I might be a little biased, but I'd put North Dakota second to Iowa. I feel like, you got guys like Travis Hagen, and you've got Sean Strand, and, Spencer Wilson, and Jeremy Keller, and Marlon Seidler, and all these guys. I'm going to miss a lot of them, obviously, but all these guys, there's somebody where they race and they win a lot of races, and it's no joke. You show up to Mandan on a weekly show and it's hard to win there. There's at least 8 guys who can win a feature at any given night. And it makes it tough, and, like Wallace and guys like them who even race only a couple times a year nowadays, they can win when they show up. So, I feel like everywhere I've been, it's as close as it gets to kind of like the Iowa deal. There's any given night, there's a lot of people who could win on any given night, and it makes it tough, but iron sharpens iron, and it lets you make sure you're kind of in top shape for anywhere else you want to go.
Well, then you got the Turnbull gang up in Esteban.
Yep, Turnbulls. Yep, man, definitely forgot them.
And, it was such an eye-opening experience last year. I knew that the Dakota Mod Tour was a big deal, but then it's one of those deals you have to go and see it, or you have to watch it on IMCA TV, because it is a huge deal. And one of the things that really struck me, most notably at Minot and Estevan, not to say that any other racetracks we went to was lesser or anything like that, but was the fans, especially the young ones, coming down to the redraw. Just the noise. I remember I interviewed somebody, and I could barely even hear because it was so loud because these young fans were cheering.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. The fans are into it, especially those tracks, and especially I'll say Jamestown. last year we kind of got rained out on the tour, but I love my fans at Jamestown, and they get a full stands almost just weekly racing, and they're into it, and the younger fan base, and all the guys, especially Dakota Tour time, all the kids walking around the pits coming for hero cards and shirts and all that. It's just super cool to see, especially when you were that kid at one point, walking around the pits asking for hero cards. You love to see it.
Yeah, that's definitely a track that I'm looking forward to, and hope that weather's going to cooperate, because it was pretty disappointing to start it out with the rain out. Obviously, at a place that I've never been to.
Yes, for sure, and you'll love it. I love Jamestown. It almost turned into a weekly joint for me, and the people there, the racetrack. It's just, I love that place. It's my favorite night on the tour every year, and I was really bummed that it got rained out last year, but I'm sure hopefully we can get it in this year.
Well, last year, obviously, you kicked off the tour with a pretty big win at Nodak Speedway in Minot, and no doubt, and not to bring up, tough things, an emotional win for you. And just it was incredible to see how you celebrated, throwing the two up. And I know it was a hard interview to do, but I was glad that you were able to get through it, because I could tell that it meant, like, that was a Titanic victory for you in your career.
Oh, absolutely. That win means the world to me. And really every win is for my dude Deuce, but that one in particular, his backstory was just a little cooler. We had some cool stories there. And, the year he passed was shortly before the Dakota Tour. And we made our way out to just the first two nights of the tour, being Jamestown and Minot, and we ran runner-up to Tom Berry at Jamestown, and that being one of his favorite tracks, and then going to Minot and just the cool stories we had there, and running runner-up there, but was a little different of a deal. We led about half the feature and had a pretty sizable advantage, and got a flat tire, or delammed a tire, and ended up fading back to second. And that was heartbreaking for me, because I felt like I owed it to him that year. And we were finally able to, in my eyes, avenge that for him. And it just meant the whole world to me. And especially in front of the crowds that loved him so much, and the amount of support that I get and he's gotten from the fans, it was just a magical night, just even loading up, getting ready to go out there for that feature, and redrawing the two, and I might not have been in the best mood and didn't want to talk to anybody and was just stressed out. I felt like I was out there lined up at Eldora racing for the million on the front row. That meant more to me than anything. So it was really cool to be able to seal the deal and just get that off my shoulders, I felt like.
Well, I think it's so cool that you still pay tribute to him. The times I've came and talked to you and did interviews after a heat race win, you've got the sticker inside the cockpit, and I think at one point even on the mag box, a little bit of a tribute to Casey Arneson as well.
Always. And I tell everybody, that filler panel sticker, that's my most important sticker on the car. We'll be repping Deuces Wild till the day that I die, and Deuces are out the window every single time I can come across that checker first, and the Deuces are always thrown up in victory lane, and it'll never go forgotten, and I don't plan on it ever being that way. It's always for him.
And again, I know that it's a pretty hard subject for you, because Casey meant a lot to you. How hard was it to kind of continue on? I mean, was there any doubt of taking time off, or you and the team taking time off, or I guess just kind of describe that? It had to be one of the most difficult times of your life.
Absolutely. It was probably the toughest thing we've had to deal with. And for me, and, not only me, but his family and loved ones, and all the Arnesons are amazing people. I couldn't be where I'm at today if it wasn't for those guys taking me under their wing and just showing me what it's like to race at a high level, and going with those guys everywhere and teaching me. And, it was tough. I like, even now, in my opinion, Austin Arneson was one of the most talented race car drivers I've ever seen. And, I don't know if we'll ever see him behind the wheel of a race car again, being that, it's hard to not go race without his brother there. It's just, it's a tough thing for everybody. And it really has changed a lot of stuff and just life in general. And you look at things a lot different. And, even you have times where it does pop up and you get a good memory or whatnot, and it still bums you out, but best you can do is live on and just, keep supporting and know that he's got my back and always rep him whenever I can. That's for sure.
Are you looking to find that adrenaline rush, but you can't because you're not at the racetrack? Well, check out the IMCA TV Replay subscription library to have access to thousands of hours of racing for just $24.99 a month. Relive all the moments of the Speedway Motors IMCA Super Nationals fueled by Casey's at Boone Speedway, the Harris Clash at Deer Creek Speedway in Spring Valley, Minnesota, the IMCA TV Winter Nationals at Cocopah Speedway in Somerton, Arizona, Florida's Clash on the Coast, and dozens of Speedway Motors IMCA weekly racing program racetracks from across the nation, as well as the IMCA TV Dirtcast podcast. Plus, 25% of that $24.99 monthly fee goes towards the Drivers Point Fund and is a great way to help out your local racers. In 2023, over $97,000 was paid out to IMCA drivers directly at over 50 racetracks across the country. Please note that live broadcasts are not part of the replay subscription. That's IMCA TV. IMCA TV, where America comes to watch racing. Well, switching gears to a lighter topic, 48K, that number and letter combination. Obviously, K, I would assume, is for Kollin, but what's the story behind all of that?
Yeah, so there's really two things. My dad, when he was racing, he was the letter A. So this has really nothing to do with why my number is what it is. So a lot of people kind of do, a lot of guys you'll see kind of just duplicate what their father was, racing. You'll see a lot of younger drivers just kind of rep their dad's number. And I always thought the A was cool, but I did a lot of supercross, motocross growing up. And I was actually a big Jimmy Johnson fan, and I was a big fan of my dad's buddy. He raced street stocks and super stocks and all growing up, and we'd go help him all the time. His name was Sam Stringer out here in Pahrump, and my dad built cars with him, and he was really my dad's best friend. And he sadly passed away when I was younger of cancer. And I always went to the racetrack and rooted for him. And I just loved seeing that 48, so I even colors and everything. He was orange number 48. And I was an orange 448 on dirt bikes because I was young and new at the time. So you had to be triple digits where we were racing, and it just transferred over. When we started racing mod lights, I carried that number over and was just the 48. And then we started racing some sport mods and some modified stuff and going to some big shows where you had to have a letter. So we added a K to it.
Nice. I like that story.
Yeah.
Well, for folks that have never been to Pahrump or Fargo, we're going to have you be the Minister of Tourism here. Obviously, there's some destination cities and some bustling places that you like to go eat, or maybe there's some points of interest in the local areas of those two towns.
Yeah, Pahrump. I mean, there ain't a lot out here. We used to have a racetrack. We used to, when I grew up, kind of racing out there, and we'd practice all the time and test all the time it's a little bull ring. And sadly, it closed down about 2 years ago. But the Pahrump Valley Speedway was always awesome. Fargo, I spent 2-3 years there now, and I guess we're finally checking out of that location, but that's still a place that's near and dear to my heart. And the Fargo racetrack and Jamestown, where I spent a lot of my time, and restaurants. I mean, I love Mexican food, so Pahrump's perfect. There's a lot of really good Mexican places up here, and Fargo, I had a pretty good spot, that we hit almost every day called Mangoes. And, I just, I wouldn't think of anything really points of interest. I'm kind of more of a stay at home kind of guy. I'm not much of a go do anything. I'm kind of always gone racing. So when I am home, I like to be at home.
Sure. Well, what's your go-to Mexican dish that you like?
Bean and cheese burrito. I'm plain. I've been ordering it since I was since I could walk, and I if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I get made fun of all the time because no matter where we go, I'll get a bean and cheese burrito. But that's kind of my thing.
Did you happen to get any at the concession stand at Central Arizona in the month that you were there?
Oh yeah, that's at least 20 or more. That's probably my favorite part about that track. That's for sure.
Brad's keeping the lights on just off of your bean and burrito purchases.
Oh yeah, and lemonade. I love lemonade.
Yeah, I got one Friday, and it definitely perked me up. It got my gears going. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, can never go wrong with some lemonade and a bean burrito.
Awesome. Well, obviously, lots of people have helped you get to where you're at. And, of course, in order to do all this, you've got some great people behind you sponsoring you, also marketing partners, folks that you'd like to thank and give a shout-out to. I know that you mentioned some in the past, but you're more than welcome to mention them again.
Yeah, for sure. Number one, my mom, my dad, I couldn't do this without them. They fuel this crazy dream of mine and let me live it out and have taught me to work as hard as I can every day to make sure we can get where we need to be. And they're my biggest supporters, obviously. And, grandma, grandpa have always supported me from when I started and I couldn't do it without them. And, just people who've helped me along the way, Scott Fitzpatrick and the Ike family, they played a pretty big role in my program when I first started, and Riley Hatfield, all the Arnesons, obviously they really skyrocketed my program and did a lot for me and still do a lot for me. And I appreciate everything they've done when it comes to learning as much as I could mechanically from Riley and the Arnesons and getting set up with, my own kind of business where I can do my own shocks. And we've been lucky enough to grow our own company and have a pretty big customer base that does really well all over the United States on my shocks or race cars or setups or whatever it is that they need. We've been able to do, and that's Awesome Motorsports and Shock Service. Obviously, couldn't do it without that helping me afford this hobby that we're able to call a hobby, I guess. But recently we've gotten hooked up with Longhorn chassis. All the guys at Longhorn, they've reached out to us and let us create these Longhorns by Awesome Motorsports, and they've really been flying, and we're excited to stay partnered with them for years to come. And Paul Leach and Tyler and Michael and Steve Arpin and Tim Zock, all the guys over there at Longhorn and I-29 Trailer Sales, Klein Engines, Silver State Transport, Awesome Construction. I'm probably going to miss a couple. AFCO, Ben Baker at AFCO. He really has been a big step in our program as well. He's always there for any questions or help you need. And Chad Weirs, at Weirs Machine, he's awesome. We couldn't do without him, and Fast Shafts, Drive Shafts. And I'm sure I'll forget one or two, but my girlfriend, she's really supportive of this hobby, and as much discipline as it takes of being gone and all that, she lets me go do it all, and her folks and Top Shelf Energy and S&S Demolition, and hopefully I ain't missing any, but I think that's all of them.
Well, that's awesome. And something I was going to note, obviously, we were talking about the dividends getting paid by all your hard work, and obviously racing so much in the Midwest is Speedway Motors IMC Super Nationals fueled by Casey's. You've made the dance on the final night the last 4 years. an incredible run in 22 where you were runner-up and backed up with a fourth-place finish in 23. It's hard just to make it, let alone years consecutive, let alone to podium and get some top fives. It's got to make you feel good. I know that you want to win it. I mean, that's no doubt obvious, but to do that is got to feel special and rewarding.
Yeah, for sure. And we came really close that one year. I think I still lose a little sleep over that deal, and I think I will forever. But we're gonna keep going back in hopes and dreams of maybe one day we'll be able to park it in that first spot. And that's a really big event that I've been going to since I started racing and watching since my dad was racing, and it's everybody's bucket list. You just, I feel like if you want to be somebody, you just got to win that race. So we're gonna try our best, that's for sure.
Well, for people that want to see your upcoming race schedule, or maybe they want to support you through a purchase of some apparel, a t-shirt or a sweatshirt, is there a good website, or do you have a good social media page where people can reach out?
Yes, absolutely. Kollin Hibdon Racing on Facebook and Instagram. We're pretty up to date on that, and you can always message that page for anything, and we have merch and stuff like that, and also showing support to my business, I guess. Awesome Motorsports, go give that page a like, and kind of keeps up to date with everything I'm doing work-wise and customer stuff and stuff like that. But those would be definitely the two pages that you need to check out.
Well, awesome. Well, I'm really looking forward to bumping into you, hopefully quite a bit this year in 2025, and glad that I was able to bump into you for so much in the month of January. It felt like we were all just one big racing community living in the same place there for a while.
Oh, absolutely. And, a month gets long, and definitely by the end of the month, I think we're all about ready to go home, and I think we're all pretty wore out. But it's cool to be around people who share the same passion and hobby or job or whatever you want to call it as you do. And just there's a lot of great people in the dirt racing world, and it's nice to have that breath of fresh air.
Well, it's awesome always to talk to you, my friend, and we'll definitely stay in touch and see each other very soon.
Yes, absolutely. I'll see you soon.
Well, race fans, that does it for this interview. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope that you continue to enjoy these upcoming interviews. We appreciate it if you would like and subscribe wherever you're listening, whether it's on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, wherever it's at. Give us a like and give us a subscription so that we can deliver more of these great interviews to you for your listening pleasure. In the meantime, wherever we're at, wherever you're listening, we hope you have a great rest of your day and a pleasant evening, and we will see you soon here at Highside Racing Promotions.